just a simple and straightforward thing, but the effect is exponential, because every other goals that attach to it, it just make things fall in place. You understand? After my wedding, it was easier for my wife to start up her business, improve, and in 1 year, we're already opening the physical space. You understand? So it makes all other goals fall in place. Praise God. I hope we're learning. The 72-hour rule. I talked about this a bit yesterday. Research shows that if you don't take action on a goal within 72 hours of setting it, the likelihood of following through drops dramatically. Not 72 hours to complete it, please. 72 hours to start. And so we're going to start something now. Before you leave this room, identify one action for each of your top 2 keystone goals that will kickstart within 72 hours. So we're going to write some of the goals. So you just draw a box. You write the 4 F's. It's going to be 3 boxes. The first box is the 4 F's. The second box is going to be one of the goals. Then the second box is for one of the goals. Quickly, so we can identify the keystone goal quickly, because we want to make sure there are testimonies. You know, we talked about how this is not a motivational community. It's a community where we want to command results. And thereby, commanding results means taking action. And so taking action for goals, you have to obey the 72-hour rule.
So how do you box like 4?
Yes, no, 3. The first one is for the F's. Then the second one, in front of each of the F's, you write the goals, just like that. And Mr. Benjamin printed some, but that one is outside. Yes. This one is quite very important. So it's going to be easy because it's January and most of us have goals for the year. So don't just start stressing yourself. Write down goals that you have planned for the year. At least some of those goals you have planned for the year will fit in one of the F's, one way or the other. So, yes, sir.
The first column.
It's for the F's, faith, finance. The second column, in front of the F's, write the goal for that F. That's for the second. It's 2 goals each. The first column is for the first goal. The second column is for the second goal. Do you understand? First column.
3 by 4. That was it. 3 by 4.
Exactly. So in front of faith, write the first goal. The second. Exactly. Yes, each of the F's have 2 goals.
Yeah.
Just like what he did there. So there's no need for you to just look too far. It's the beginning of the year. Most of us have goals already set. We just need to identify a keystone goal. That's what we just want to do. We just want to identify a keystone goal. So with some of the frameworks we've talked about, if you can start, if you need him to go back to the frameworks, so we can use the framework to, there's the cascade, there's the conflict test. It's a simple tool, but a very profound tool that, eases growth, especially for young persons. If you have been able to identify a keystone goal, you can just, yes.
I think I identified one.
Okay, you were saying you were responding the same thing, but you go first.
Okay,
I'm supposed to state a keystone goal.
Yes, from those goals you have written now.
What I think is a keystone.
Yes.
I think in my finance, I wrote set up a business. I don't have a business, a physical business. Most of the business are online, and sometimes online policies can change. Alright, from 2020, government can just come up. We don't want this again, and so I just felt I've been thinking of setting up a physical business. Although I've been opposed to it earlier on, my friends were telling me, you cannot just be in your house. Your laptop is your business. I write online. So sometimes when policies change, you use the amount of clients I get. So that period I look like somewhere like a church rat. But when policies improve, my friends are feeling, what are you doing? Show us. So some of them advice, I set up a business I don't like going out. So ever since then, my wife has been telling me I should try to set up and I've been just so that is what I think is the keystone.
So how you identify keystone goal, like we talked about, is how does that goal affect the other 4 F's?
So, but it will affect my faith in the sense that I can give more because I always wanted to give more to my local church.
Okay.
Then it will affect my family in the sense that my wife has always liked options. If they discover in the option, she can resign her that has been her aim. Sometimes there's something when they discover, she just comes, say, I had that business on you, they just disturb me for stuff like that. So that will affect family. Then fitness. I never liked gym, so I don't think that is a problem.
But how does setting up a physical space affect your finance? Present state, just be realistic. So
It doesn't help my finance.
kickstarting, your goal is set up.
Okay.
How does it affect, your startup cost now? That's what we're looking at. How does it affect your present finance? Yes.
Not like what's the
Is it going to require you to incur debts?
Okay, it's going to require me to cut off a lot of things I'm paying financially right now.
So if you are going to cut off some things financially, which means one way or the other is going to affect the family.
Yeah.
So you see,
Okay, I'm not looking at it like that. Okay, so it's not a keystone on the initial.
because it's already conflicting. Do you understand? It's already conflicting with the family.
Finance, yes.
So which means your children have to suffer. If they used to drink 2 Hollander before, they have to drink 1 now.
They don't drink at all.
So you see what I'm saying? So it's already conflicting. Are we getting the point now?
Yeah, I get the point.
Are we getting the point? So we're getting a bit practical now.
But if you have said setting up a business without maybe saying setting up a physical business, would that be like a keystone goal?
I would have probed further. What kind of business?
What if the business you are doing, have you really utilized the profit margin in that business? Who says online business is not business?
Because you're sensitive in it, that's why physical.
Is it you are writing?
Yeah.
Do you have an academy? Do you run different courses?
Why do you need a physical space?
You are even at more profit margin. So what's the scale that you have done? Is it within Nigeria? Have you explored within Africa?
No.
You are writing, Abi?
Non Nigeria.
Is it writing stuff?
Yes, right for clients abroad.
For clients abroad. So do you have an academy of writers where you can outsource it to them and collect a commission?
No.
What are we talking about? So you're talking about it, you have not actually mixed the revenue in that your business.
Okay, so the physical business I'm talking about
It's not writing.
Okay, you want to sell a pharmacy?
Yeah.
Are you a pharmacist?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is
Then you have to now
It's a goal. We're not saying it's not a goal. It's a goal, but it's not a keystone goal. So we talked about SMART goal helping you, telling you if the goal is well written. Keystone is if the goal is well chosen. So it's a goal. It doesn't mean you shouldn't work on it, but it's not a keystone goal.
So it means what I'm trying to do is other things are going to suffer.
Other things should benefit, not suffer.
Keystone goal.
Yes, from a keystone goal, other F's should benefit, not suffer. So I talked about what you're talking about now is the same example I gave. You want to set up a side business. Just that the difference is the time I mentioned was 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. But it's going to bring more money. But it's already taking your family time. You understand? It's almost the same thing what you're saying now. So other parts should benefit, not suffer from it. You won't just collect ladder for those children mouth.
I think this system will require time.
Yes, a lot of thinking.
They have to make it.
Of course now.
It's more or less you are trying to develop a pipeline for what is affecting your F's and then trying to
Exactly.
break it down.
Exactly. So I'm just trying
I don't
to.
think we are just. We're not creative.
No, I'm not saying it's not a goal. The goal is a justified goal, but it's not a keystone goal. Do you understand?
What we also look at in improving on the one he already has. And also
And that one is his own business. You understand? We're talking about keystone goal. What you mentioned is a goal, but not a keystone goal. We can go back to the drawing board and identify. You understand?
Can all the goals I have or anybody has, is there a way to bring out
Yeah, that's why I said everybody should write. So
keystone goals from every of the goals?
yeah, it's possible. Yes. So have you written yours, sir?
Oftentimes, that's actually what happens when you set a couple of goals. Then you now try to identify which of them makes others relevant
Easier.
or irrelevant. Yeah. So it's among the goals you end up most times picking which of them is the keystone goal.
About my marriage and all of that. We had goals. My wife wanted to open a physical space. I wanted to improve in my business. But all of them are dependent on where we settle. And our settling is dependent on marriage. So marriage becomes a keystone goal. All of them are goals. Getting married is a goal. Opening a physical shop is a goal. Settling is a goal. Expanding my business are goals. What do you mean by that? That's what I'm saying now. How do I put this now? It does not necessarily need to affect all the F's. I said 3. Do you understand? 3. And it benefits 3. Because now we have to set up a physical space. Physical space is going to cost us finance. But it is a goal. But the keystone goal helps us achieve the other 3 easily. Do you understand the point now?
So sorry, if he has the finance to that is already set out, then
If it's not going to affect the finance of your family, it's a keystone goal. Do we get the point now?
While I was writing now, thank you for the session also, even though we are still in the session. One of my goals came to my mind because I have several goals for the year. One of them is I think it should fall into this category of keystone goal, which is sleeping by 9.
Sleeping by 9.
Yes. Sleeping, going to bed, exactly 9 o'clock. To me, that's my highest goal. I work on it now. And how does it affect the other goal? I think I want to be able to, one of my other goals is one of my is fitness, to be able to exercise every morning. And to be able to pray every morning also. And I discovered that if I sleep by 9 and my alarm wakes me up by 4, about 7 hours of sleep, I wake up fresh. And it's easy to pray when you are fresh and revitalized, it's easy to study, and it's even easy to just feel down to your work. You need a page or 2 of a book to get that motivation. And for me, that's waking up, sleeping by 9. That's my personal.
So that's a keystone goal.
Right. So and I know that it's not possible to do that without hard work. Right. I'm not married, so there's no respect on relationship. There's nobody I have to give attention to. I have to do. Then secondly, how many is ring?
my son will tell you, say,
Do you know what married women stand here? Why So, family is out of it.
Family is not out of it. You may not have an immediate family, but you have family. You have families.
Then for faith, of course, there will be more an ability to be a blessing. like the map, the fitness, I don't really know because I know it can require a lot of hard work. So I just have to pay that price to become more intentional about daily activity. So what do you have to say about it?
It's a goal, but it's not a keystone goal. Because first of all, you want to reach out to 1 million persons. It does not directly affect faith. Let's stop tying faith to giving to the work.
Yeah.
We are talking about how it affects you now. How do you spend time? You understand? So it's even going to take your time if you are pursuing to reach one. If you are talking about 1 million clients, I'm talking about 1 million persons. So you see what I'm saying now? It's a goal, but it's not a keystone goal.
Set out as a keystone goal here is working on the structure for a business.
Okay.
I think one of the issues I've been having is time, because just like what we discussed yesterday and what some of the things Mr. Karen said earlier is that if your business has structure, it's not every time you have to be there. Yeah, so it being a keystone goal for me is that if I set up the structure and I be able to dedicate people to step in for some of the things, I would definitely have time for myself. I have time for faith, to give me time to serve better in church, for family, because I think one of the issues I've been having in relationship is sometimes they complain that I work too much, I don't want to give them time. So I feel to help me get time, to tackle that area. Then for finance, it is well structured, just like you said earlier. It's better to earn 10% from a million naira than to have from 10 million naira than to have 100% of 100,000 naira. So I feel.
So you see how easy it is to achieve his other goals just by pursuing one goal, building a structure for the business. Just by building a structure for the business, he now has time to focus and get married. Do you understand? He now has time to also focus on serving more in church. So it makes it easier or automatic. Sometimes you don't even have to do anything for that other area. It just flows. Mr. Gentle. Yes, sir.
My plan, one of my goals for the year was to set up a business. And how I thought about it and how would this goal actually affect every other thing I'm doing. First of all, it will improve my finance. I work in banking, so if I have another side also or side job, side business to improve my finance, like Mr. Ludupe spoke earlier, talked about structure, and I looked about, I thought about it, and I said, hey, I don't need to be present for the business to run. Me, I so much like buying and selling, because I think that is in fact right now the people who are not suffering in Nigeria are buyers and sellers, like sellers. If I buy 15 naira, if the cost is 20 naira, put inside. So I've thought about it and I said, okay, I want to do that. Now it will also improve my my faith in the long run. I work in banking, like I said, Mondays to Sundays, 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock most times. So if my business is able to, sometimes I get home by 9. It depends on how crazy the day is. So if my business is able to scale up, I jump to banking. You get, so that I think that's one. Then another thing about finance, fitness, I'll have more time to even now say, let me start going to the gym. And even for family, my family will have more time with me than saying I'm in the banking part. So I just thought about that. I even had to talk when he said set up a business. So I'm thinking setting up a business this year will be like one of my keystones. Then also waking up early is also very fantastic for me. If I can sleep early, so I can wake up early and start up my day, I think it's.
So now, is his goal a keystone goal? Yeah, you've not spoken though.
Okay, sorry. For starting up the business, we are starting up now. Definitely you require capital. So how do you intend on funding the business?
Okay, like I said, I already have like a stream of income. I'm not married, not like it's a proud thing. But right? I have something that I'm doing. Yeah, so I can easily get money from here and invest it here. Well,
That should be
try
all.
invest here to get more.
That's all.
Please, sir, what is the difference between a new business? For example, you have an idea to kickstart your own business, you draft out everything, the system, the plan. The system is, for example, to render service. If you are there or not, everything is going as planned, right? But the foundation of the business requires stress, hard work. Can we say is a keystone or future business? You know, there's some business that requires your physical presence for the foundation. You can't just start something and just give it out to someone. You should start it first. Before, when it's growing, then you can now hand over and have your own freedom. What can we say about those kind of business?
Goals are, before you set goals are where you want to be. And for you to identify where you want to be, you have to identify where you are. So it depends on where you are. That's why I asked the question, is his goal a keystone goal?
Yes.
Because, okay, tell us why.
Because listed out the other areas, it's going to fix. Yeah, according to himself, it's going to, for finance, it's going to definitely earn more because as entrepreneurs, for the entrepreneurs in the house, I don't know, most times you tend to see money every day. So, and if you put it together sometimes, you can see that it may be better than what you were doing in business. I know that every business comes with struggles. And he also talked about it helping his faith, has time in church, and secondly, him getting time to go for fitness, exercise, gym, covers the other aspect. And marriage, family,
All right, so I think that's the end of our session. Thank you so much for listening.
Can we get the
Slide. Yes, I'll send it to the group.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, sir.